viewers, thank you for tuning in again. My name is Dr. Harriet from Beyond My Beauty. Beyond My Beauty believes that your dream and success and your global impact is one step away. We are a team of women that have come together to simply remind you that beyond your beauty you are bold, beyond your beauty can be a mighty influencer, and beyond your beauty you can overcome any adversary or issues that you are going through. Today I have two wonderful ladies joining me, and we want to delve into the issue of loneliness. In this generation, we realize that of course the social media generation where someone can have over 1 million followers and still have no physical friend to talk to. And we do believe that sometimes these issues spiral into depression, into loneliness, and when not talked about, sometimes that individual takes their lives, which is through suicide. So today we wanted to just get into the issue of loneliness. Why is it an epidemic in our society, and how is this generation dealing with it? Stay tuned. Before we get into it, we also want to remind you that we are on all social media platforms. You can always log on to our website www.beyondbeauty.com to get more information and resources to help you deal with the loneliness. Hello viewers, welcome back again. I am going to introduce my two guests today that has joined me for us to talk more about the issue of loneliness. The first guest I have here, of course, is Jessica. She is married. She's an HR specialist. She's a woman of faith. She believes all things people. She loves people. She's full of life. Jessica, I want to really welcome you to Beyond My Beauty today. And of course, our second guest is Loretta. Loretta is a registered nurse by profession. She's also a woman of faith. She is a daughter. She is a sister. And she has a lot of knowledge regarding people going through depression as well. So I want to welcome you to Beyond My Beauty. You're welcome. This platform is a platform where we deal with some of the realized issues that the generation is facing. And today we want to dive into loneliness. So let's start with Loretta yourself. Have you ever in your life have felt a season where you were lonely or you found yourself lonely?
Yeah, I have. I can think of a time when I was in school. So it was a season, I think it was during the Easter season. I couldn't get the opportunity to come home. So even though I was still in touch with everyone, it was just a moment, like a few hours of deep loneliness where I just broke down because I thought, okay, I am lonely. There's no one to talk to. So it was that feeling of, who am I? If something should happen right now, who is going to be there for me? Because I'm in a place far away from home. Even though they're a phone call away, I still do not want to talk to anyone. I just am in a state of, I'm just lonely. So, and it was not a good feeling for me. So I have experienced loneliness.
And I can imagine that, because sometimes, even at school, as much as we have friends and people that we talk to, you do get into that season where you feel all alone, especially when you fail an exam. I've been in the states where I didn't do well on one of my exams, and it was a state of, I'm a failure. How am I going to go back home and talk to my mom about it? So it is something that I believe students also do go through, right? Okay, Jessica, so there was a quote that I heard, and the quote said, if someone that is a loner speaks to you, it is not because they chose to be lonely. It's just because they just couldn't fit into the world. They just didn't have the opportunity to fit into, whether it was a group or an organization or a set of friendship. How do you relate that to this generation where people are always looking for the opportunity to fit in, but they don't get a fit in, and then that spiral into loneliness and feeling all alone?
Thank you so much for that question. Well, as we all know, we are living in the generation of social media. And when it comes to social media, everybody wants to be part of something.
Yes.
I want to belong, or what they see is what they want to be part of. But sometimes in this generation, we don't know how to just sit back and just look after ourselves.
Correct.
And what does that mean? Meaning that we are so into everything else, but we forget about us. And I can I can honestly relate to the point whereby I was in a state of depression when I lost my job. And in this generation, when you lose your job, sometimes you feel like you lost your identity.
Part of you, that's correct.
And the quote is very powerful because when you lose your identity, you try to find it somewhere else. So I had to find it somewhere else. And who do I turn to? So we'll go back to spiritual. I had to make sure that for me, how do I not feel lonely? Even though I have my husband around me, I have my pastors, yet I still felt lonely because I was asking myself, why did I lose my job?
Correct.
Why everybody else is thriving?
Right.
So I felt lonely. I felt alone. And when you go to social media, people are opening their businesses.
Come on.
So for me in that stage, I was lost. And most of our generation feels lost.
That's right. And just to piggyback on your points, and even something Loretta said, in the scriptures talk about two is better than one, so that when one falls, one can pick up the other person. So in that state when you feel as though you are in school and what if something happens, what do? It's a big issue because some people have medical illnesses whereby it requires someone to be around them to help them just in case, right? So how can you relate to that? That, you know, the scripture said it is better for two to be together than one, because if one falls, the other one can pick them up. How do you relate it to our generation? Because I do feel that as though, of course, in this generation, it's a social media generation, but most people are still lonely. Most people are still broken. Most people cover with makeup and the lashes and the blush. But the truth of the matter is some people actually post a social media post in hope that someone will like it. Liking it doesn't mean you've reached out to me to talk to me. Liking it doesn't mean that I've been able to open up to you in terms of what I'm going through. So let's touch on that scripture quickly. How does that relate to two is better than one? However, we still lonely, right? Does it mean you just go out and just find someone else to say, hey, I'm lonely, be my plus one? How do you relate to this generation?
Well, it's hard to find good friends.
True.
But when you do find that friend, I will use my personal experience because I had a best friend, close friend. But when the time came when I was lonely, there was nobody to reach out to. So I had to find somebody who understands me. I think the first question is, who can I relate to? Who has been in my position? And God being faithful brought me someone very close. Wow. And when they brought me close, I was able to, because they said two cannot walk unless they
agree together.
So when I found my friend, it's like, I have my husband and I thank God for him. Right. He's always been there. Right. So when I found a friend, it was so easy to talk to them, right? And yet not feel lonely.
And that is a good point. That's a very good point, because honestly, finding a good friend in this generation is very difficult. You know, it depends your definition of a friend, because you can have 7 friends come to your 16th birthday party and none of them really truly like you. And you can have that one friend that will be ready to pray with you, will be ready to encourage you, will be ready to cheer you on. So you're right, finding a good friend, although it's difficult, but it is possible, depending the motives and what you're going for, right? So Loretta, let's just dive a little bit deeper into this. We have a generation whereby most people, their jobs and their careers become what they go to for source of strength. Now what if you lose your job? What if, you know, you get walked out of your job? Then how do you handle it?
So for me, it first starts with your identity, and that's what we've been touching on. When you look at the basis of loneliness, it's knowing who you are, because we are in a generation where we identify, if I have a job, then I'm in a good place. But then what if that external thing is taken away from you?
That's right.
Then where do you find yourself? Because then being who you are is internal. So if you know who I am, that I am beautiful, you love yourself enough, then when the external thing is taken away from you, then you are not at a loss of words, or you don't know where you fit in, because it says the joy of the Lord is my strength. Because that joy comes from within. Because I heard happiness is external.
It's external.
Well, I'm happy when I have a job.
When I get a new Lexus, I'm happy. When I get a new Mercedes, I'm happy. but the internal stability is what we need.
It's what you
Wow.
need, because if you're able to center yourself, and for me, it's God. God is who centers me. He grounds me. So even though I lose my job, it doesn't mean I'm not going to be hurt.
That's right.
I'm going to be hurt because I put in work in that place.
That's right.
But at the same time, I'm not going to lose my mind or lose who I am. I'm not going to lose my joy because that has been taken up. And I think that's where we are, where social media, which was supposed to be community, social, when you go down to it means community.
That's right.
So it was supposed to be community communication.
Come on.
But then we've come to a place where now it's a way of showcasing.
Yes.
So if I see you have a good job, then it means you are in a good place.
That's right.
But if I don't
Which
have
can be
it,
deceptive. Can be very
exactly,
deceptive.
because
That's
then
right.
everyone is putting their life out there, but then when you go deep down to it,
There's
that
something.
person probably doesn't have it.
That's right.
It's just a way for them to mask the
What
internal,
of the happiness.
So then for me, when you lose your job, it affects you, because your mind is thinking, how am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to move this car? How am I going to feed myself? But deep down, I know God has got me.
He's got your back.
So then I'm not going
He's
to
got
be
your back.
wavy, and so
Right.
that's where I find myself when situations arise.
And that is powerful. That is powerful. We're going to end this segment on loneliness. You brought up amazing points, and I'm just going to wrap it up with 3 points. The first point that I want our viewers to take from what Jessica and Loretta and I said today on the topic of loneliness is, number 1, know the difference between solitude and loneliness. Solitude is you coming out of a season to say, I'm coming into a season to reflect on my life, see where I am, and find out how I can better myself. Sometimes it is a test that you're going through, a season to find yourself and redefine yourself and redefine your goals. That is solitude. Loneliness is just being in a place of, I'm by myself, I'm depressed, I'm going down, I need help. Know the difference and seek help. Number 2, being lonely is not a great place to be. If you do not have the opportunity or anyone in your life that can hold your hand, that can mentor you, that can help you out, it can lead into a bad place and a bad decision. And of course, number 3, there is always hope for you. Always hope for you. Beyond Beauty, we've had a chance to help so many women that's been going through loneliness, and we want to invite you that if you need any help, we have a team that is ready to simply hold your hand and bring you out of that loneliness. We will walk with you, we will teach you our resources to help you. Simply log on onto our website www.beyondmybeauty.com or find us on any of the social media platforms, and we'll be happy to help you. You don't have to go through this by yourself. There is a community of good people waiting to help you. I hope you were blessed today. We ask that you just keep us in your prayers as God uses this platform to change this generation one person at a time. Once again, thank you for tuning in.